Hello my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make our classy chunky pumpkin. Isn't it beautiful? I just love how this yarn turned out. This is Color Fusion by Premier and it's called Autumn Sky. Isn't it gorgeous? You can make this pumpkin with just one of those skeins. And it's absolutely gorgeous yarn. The way the colors flow, it's soft, it's squishy, and by adding a beautiful flower pick that matches, you get a really classy looking pumpkin. This one's going to set up on top of my mantle. I think it's going to be beautiful. And I can leave it up there all the way through Thanksgiving until I take it down and put my Christmas stuff up. But I just absolutely love the way this turned out. It's not very big. Let me check my notes here. It measures about 6 inches tall and it's about 18 inches around. So it's not real huge, but it's not real small. And it's just the right size to fit on your mantle. It would also make a nice centerpiece for your Thanksgiving get-together. Or maybe if you're having a Halloween party, add it in with your Halloween decorations. There's plenty of color in there for that. And the truth is you can use any bulky number 5 yarn for this project. It doesn't have to be the Color Fusion. Wouldn't this be awesome in some of those reflective yarns? I might even have some in my yarn stash. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. So to make our classy autumn pumpkin, you're going to need some bulky number 5 yarn. And I have just fallen in love with the Color Fusion yarn from Premier Yarn. It's a chunky number 5, and you can make your entire pumpkin with just one of these skeins, 3.5 ounces, 109 yards. Now I was going to use this blue. Wouldn't that have made a beautiful pumpkin? But I remembered I had another skein of this one. This is called Autumn Sky. We did our bulky beret hat with this same yarn. And it turned out just gorgeous. And so I had rolled this one up in a ball because I thought I was going to need to get into the second skein. And I didn't need to. And so then I remembered I had almost a whole skein of this Color Fusion Autumn Sky left. So I'm going to be working with that today. But this is the brand Color Fusion Premier Chunky number 5 100% acrylic. Now you can use any chunky yarn for this. That's a bulky number 5. It works up really quick because we're using a nice fluffy chunky yarn. And there are lots of other options of chunky yarns as well. I like using this one. I just really love this yarn, the way the colors blend into each other instead of these like abrupt color changes. That's why it's called Color Fusion. Okay, and you can find this yarn on the Premier website. If you want to find it through my link, I'll put that link underneath this video. You can just click that link and then there's a little tab that says yarn at the top. Just click that tab and scroll down and you'll run right into Color Fusion. They also have this in a medium weight number 4 as well. I believe there are 8 colors, or maybe, no, there's 15 different colors. All right, anyway, you're going to need about 3.5 ounces of a bulky number 5 acrylic yarn. You're going to need a pick, and I got this one at Hobby Lobby. I thought it went really well with this yarn. It's got this orange rose and then some bright cranberry hydrangeas and then some autumn leaves to go with it. It's super pretty. And we're going to use that in the place of a stem on our pumpkin. All right, the other thing you need is a pair of scissors. And we're going to be stitching today with our crochet hook, which is an I 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Usually when I work with a bulky 5, I use a J, but because we're making a pumpkin and we're going to stuff it, I want my stitches to be just a little bit tighter. All right, and then the last thing you're going to need is a needle. And that's just to weave in your ends and to make those stitches that go around to form the shape of that pumpkin. Oh, and don't forget, you need some stuffing. And this is just your basic polyester fiber fill. You know, I don't even think it's 3 ounces here, maybe 2, not very much. It's kind of up to you how much stuffing you want to use, how tightly you want to stuff your pumpkin. I kind of like them when they're decorative, not to be stuffed so much. Plus, I have a feeling my grandkids are going to be throwing this one around. All right, so we're going to begin with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to join this into a circle. Now, if you would prefer to use the magic circle or the magic ring for this, that's totally fine. One thing we do need to remember is we don't want to close that circle up completely because we want to slide our pick, our flower pick, right down inside that circle. All right? We're going to go in, pull up a loop, and chain 3. That counts as 1 double crochet, and now we're going to stitch 9 more in this circle. And you will notice that I'm stitching over my tail of yarn, and that's so that I can gather it if needed. But because we want that hole in there, we want to be careful not to gather that hole closed too tightly. We want it big enough to fit our pick, but not big enough where the stuffing comes out of it. That would be a catastrophe. All right, let's see how many I have stitched. Here's my chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and we'll count again just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be sure and count that chain 3 as your first one. All right, so now we're going to join and chain 3. We joined to the chain 3 with the slip stitch and chained 3. I am going to pull this a little bit, but I'm not completely closed because, again, I'm going to push my pick for my flowers right down inside there. So I'm going to go ahead and weave my end in. That way I don't have to worry about it. Sometimes I forget and then I stuff it and then I go, oh no, I didn't close that hole. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm just going back and forth, weaving that in. And like I said, I know we normally close up that hole, but we want to be able to put that pick down inside the center because this is going to be the top of our pumpkin. Let's do round 2. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So we're going to double crochet in that same stitch as our chain 3. And now we'll go to the next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets. And then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in each of those double crochets around. So round 1 had 10, and round 2 will have 20 double crochets. Two double crochets in each of the double crochets, working all the way around. Then we'll join back to our chain 3. I have completed round 2, stitching 2 double crochets in each of our 10, so we have 20. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now for round 3, we're going to be stitching what I call 1 and 2. So our chain 3 counts as our first, and then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. Then in the next double crochet, we'll just stitch 1. Then in the next double crochet, we'll stitch 2 double crochets. 1 double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next, and repeat. 1 double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next. 1 and 2. Whoops. Get in there. Happens to the best of us, huh? All right, and so we're going to repeat that, stitching 1 double crochet in the next, 2 in the next, and we'll repeat this working all the way around our row, or I should say our round. and join back to our chain 3. I have completed round 3, stitching 1 and 2, 1 and 2 all the way around, so I have 30 double crochets. We're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Then we'll place 2 double crochets in the next. So for round 4, we're doing 2 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 2, 1, 2, and then 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2. 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, and 2 double crochets in the next, 1 and 2. And we will repeat this all the way around. I have completed round 4. We did 1 double crochet in the next 2, 2 in the next, all the way around. You should have 40 double crochets. We're going to join to that chain 3, only this time we're not going to chain 3. All right, now we're going to go into the space between those first 2 double crochets, and we're going to slip stitch. Then we're going to stitch a half double crochet, chain 1, and half double crochet in that space. So we've stitched a half double crochet V-stitch, okay? We're going to skip the next 2 stitches and stitch in between a half double crochet V-stitch. Half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. All right, so we skipped 2, and in between the last one skipped and the next one, we stitched our half double crochet V-stitch, and that is our repeat around. So we'll skip the next 2, and we'll stitch a half double crochet V-stitch between the next 2. Half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. Skip 2 and repeat. And see how that looks? We're going to repeat this all the way around, and then we're going to join back to that first half double crochet. All right, so skip the next 2, half double crochet V-stitch in between those next 2. All the way around, and again, join back to our first half double crochet. I completed row 5, and you should have 20 half double crochet V-stitches. And you can see how they're in between every other one. We have the 2 in between, and it makes a nice tight half double crochet stitch. So again, you have 20. Here's my last one. I'm going to join to that first half double crochet, and then I'm going to go in the chain 1 space and stitch a chain 1. Now the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It just gets you back up where you need to be. All right, and see how I'm up on top where I need to be? So what we're going to do for round 6 is we're going to stitch a half double crochet V-stitch in each of the chain 1 spaces of the half double crochet V-stitches. All right, so we'll go right in that chain 1 space and stitch half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. Then we'll go to the next chain 1 space and stitch our half double crochet V-stitch. You should notice at this point that it's starting to curl in a little bit, and that's exactly what we want it to do, so we can start getting the shape of our pumpkin. See how it's curling in? It's going to all curl this way like this. All right, so we're going to stitch a half double crochet V-stitch in each of the chain 1 spaces of the previous row's half double crochet V-stitches. I have completed row 6, stitching a V-stitch in each of the chain 1 spaces of the V-stitches. We joined to our first half double crochet, slip stitched in the chain 1 space, and chained 1. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to repeat row 6, the one we just completed, for 10 more rows. And that's going to bring down the shape of our pumpkin. All right, so we're going to repeat row 6 for 10 more rows. So I repeated that for 10 more rows, and isn't that beautiful? I just love the texture that it gives it, and it's so pretty. This yarn is just amazing. All right, so when I finished that last row, I did not join and then go in the chain 1 space. What we're going to do is we're going to join to that half double crochet with a slip stitch and chain 3. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to place a double crochet in each of the half double crochets. We are not placing a half double crochet in the chain 1 space in between. So we are stitching a double crochet in each of the half double crochets around, but not in that chain 1 space. And this will pull it in just a little bit, because now what we're going to do is we're going to start decreasing down so that we can gather the bottom up and stuff it and make it look like a pumpkin. All right, so 1 double crochet in each of the half double crochets, working all the way around, and then we'll join back to our chain 3. So I've stitched a double crochet in each of my half double crochets all the way around, so we're going to have 40 double crochets. All right, now we're going to join to that chain 3 with a slip stitch, and we're only going to chain 1. On this row, we're going to be doing some double crochet decreases, or 2 double crochets together. All right, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to go in this first stitch and pull up a loop. Then we'll go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook instead of 3. So yarn over and go through the first 3, yarn over and go through those last 2. We decreased from 2 to 1 double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Now we're going to do the 2 double crochet together, or double crochet decrease. So yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, then go in the next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over and go through the 3, yarn over and go through the 2 loops, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1 and 2. And so this is going to decrease even more to help us get the shape of our pumpkin. All right, so our repeat is a double crochet decrease, or stitching 2 double crochets together, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around the bottom of our pumpkin. And after this row, we're going to stuff, so get your stuffing ready. Double crochet decrease, or stitching 2 double crochets together and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. And that's going to get you 30 double crochets. I've gone ahead and cut my yarn, and you're going to need a little bit to work with because we're going to stuff it and then sew it or gather it closed. Actually, we're going to gather it closed. All right, so I'm just going to pull that through. And now we're going to grab our stuffing and stuff it. And like I said, I like mine to be just a little bit floofy, not real tight. If you like yours a little more tight, that's totally fine. It's up to you. And this is just your typical polyester fiber fill batting. And I want to make sure I've got some right down here at the bottom. All right, so now it's all stuffed and ready for me to gather it. So I'm going to gather it with my needle. So I got my needle here and I'm going to thread that on there. So now my pumpkin is ready for me to gather it closed, okay? So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn it up like this. We're going to take that needle and we're going to go in and out of those stitches on that last row. All the way around. All right, so I'm back where I started, so I'm going to make sure all the stuffing's down. I'm going to pull that really tight. I'm going to make sure it's really tight, so I'm going to pull it some more, so I don't want any stuffing coming out of the bottom. All right, now I'm going to make a couple of cross stitches across like this, because I really want this to hold snugly. I do not want any stuffing coming out of the bottom, because I just have a feeling, like all my other stuffies, I'm going to find this being thrown around the room. I don't mind. I'm glad my grandkids like the things that I make. All right. So that's nice and secure. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few more fibers and make a loop down there at the bottom. And then I'm going to take this and go in and push it all the way through, trying to find the top there. There we go. See the top? Now I have enough here to work some of those stitches, but I'm going to show you the bottom first. This is how it should look. You want to make sure it's nice and flat so that it will sit nice. Now we're going to make those stitches to form those ridges in the pumpkin. And that's why we brought this all the way back up through this hole. Okay, and so we're going to come down around. And we're going to go across the bottom and back up this way. And then we'll go right down in the center of that pumpkin. And that's another reason you don't want to stitch it too tightly, because you've got to get that needle through. All right, now it's up to you how tightly you want to pull that thread. I want it just enough to give the idea of the shapes. Now this one's getting a little short, so I'm going to go ahead and tie this one off. And I'm hooking it around that thread there just to make sure it's not going to come undone. I'll make another little loop. There we go. And I'm just going to go down in. I'm going to swirl it around the stuffing a little bit and then bring it over here to the side. Being careful with that yarn there. And you got to work with it a little bit. There we go. And so I've got the first stitches done. Now I'm going to cut another piece here. Let me get some more yarn. So I've cut another piece of yarn. It's very long. I think it's like 25 inches. Because I want to make 2 more of those. All right, so I'm going to go in the bottom. I'm going to come back out the top. There we go. That's the hardest part, is getting that needle through. So you got to make sure you have a needle that has a little bit of a point. If it's blunt, it's going to be harder to do. All right, now I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail here to work with afterwards. So be careful not to pull that one through. All right, and so I'm going to come at an angle this way and cross across. I'm going to keep that in the center of the camera there. And I'm going to go back in. There we go. Now we'll have to place that where we want it. All right, I like that. And so I'm going to use this tail just to keep it from coming undone, just like that. Okay, then I'll go around that piece. We want to try to keep the bottom as neat as possible, but it's not always possible to keep it, you know, super neat, but we want to try. All right, so I'm going to do one more across this way. So I'm going to go in. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, now this one, we want it over that way. All right. Now, because of the way we did that, we couldn't go across, so we're going to come this way and go back in. The thing is, we just want it to look like it has the shape of a pumpkin. All right, now, before I tie this off, I want to make sure everything's laying the way I would like it to. And I like that. I like it a lot, actually. And you can see it has those lines. All right, so I'm just going to take these two. I'm going to tie those. I want this one underneath this one, though, just to secure it, because that's what it will do. It'll just secure it in there. And then I'll do the same on this side. There we go. Pull that and make a knot. Now you can go in and weave these in if you want to. I just like making a knot on the bottom. It's already indented in there, and if you're worried it's going to come out, you can put just a little dab of hot glue on there. All right, so those are the lines on the pumpkin. It looks super pretty, and it gives, of course, the pumpkin shape. So the last thing we need to do is just add our flower pick. Now I've sort of closed up the hole in the center, so it's going to be hard to get that in there, but I'm going to do it anyway. And just shove that down in there. And I like the way that looks. If you're worried that this is going to come undone, it's not going to stay put, you can always put a little dab of hot glue in there also, or some E6000. But I just really love this pick. I think it's so pretty because it has the cranberries and, oop, lost one of my flowers. There we go. Anyway, I love this one because it has the gold rose, and the colors aren't exactly what we usually get at fall, but I really love how it goes with this particular pumpkin. Isn't that adorable? All right, so that's our classy chunky pumpkin, and I just love it.